Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good mid-morning to many of you to day one of Attorney Cultural Connect 2025. This is our second annual Hispanic Legal Marketing Summit. I'm Hugo E. I'm the founder of Abogados Now, and we're going to be covering a lot today. I just want to thank everyone for making time, carving out today and or tomorrow to watch this program that we've carefully prepared over the last several months for you guys. In short, today and tomorrow, we're going to be covering a lot of ground on websites, on AI, on video marketing, Google search marketing. There are so many changes in Google search marketing. It's kind of head spinning. Text marketing, the FCC, one-to-one consent, email marketing, what to do with web forms, personal marketing, social media marketing, getting on Hulu, getting on TikTok, talking about the FCC, talking about the TikTok ban, talking about changes in Meta. There's a lot of ground to cover today and tomorrow. The ultimate goal whenever we talk to attorneys is they want to just see signups. And that's totally fair. Plaintiff side, volume-based attorneys, solo attorneys, mid-sized firms. You just want to know, where do I get leads? Where do I get the signups from? It's totally fair question to ask. We'll be covering a lot of that ground today. Now, this program is namely made for plaintiff attorneys looking for a competitive edge. We're going down to a hyper niche. We're not just talking about legal marketing, but we're also going to be talking about Hispanic legal marketing. So naturally, bring in your marketing staff, bring in your agencies, bring in your consultants. Feel free to share their links. I'm certain that they could come in. But also bring in your operational staff, folks that work in intake, folks that work in reception, folks that work in client experience. Like, this is absolutely meant for them. We're known for our marketing work. We're really proud of it. But we're also known for what happens behind the scenes, because that is also marketing. The way your office looks, the way people answer phones, the way your welcome emails go out, the way your contracts look, the way they're translated in Spanish. So our promise in this 2-day summit, it's exactly the same as all of our webinars and even the prior summit from year one, is we're going to show you something new. In just a few moments, we're going to get started. We're going to give you actionable takeaways that you can implement today. Personally, one of my biggest gripes whenever I attend conferences is when there's just speakers talking platitudes, nebulous phrases, living in ambiguity, talking about big, broad things. I call it broad and wide. We're going to go narrow and super deep. You're going to see live implementations today. And lastly, we're not going to sell you anything. No discount codes, no QR codes. This isn't about us. This isn't about our services. This is about you guys. This is about you attorneys, about legal marketing professionals that want to do something to grow the firm. Now, if you are familiar with Abogados Now, thank you so much for joining us. You can see a picture of some of our staff there. For those not familiar, briefly, we're approaching our 8th year. We were the first Hispanic marketing agency for attorneys only. I like to think we remain the best. Our team is all across the Americas: North, Central, South America, Ecuador, Chile, Argentina. We have over 300 attorneys nationwide in our program: personal injury attorneys, immigration attorneys, workers' comp, criminal defense. Again, anything plaintiffs ID, probate, estate, we've covered it. And lastly, thousands of legal marketing professionals have attended conferences like this one, virtual conferences, or our regular meetings on webinars 1 to 2 times a month, covering everything that we discussed, like email marketing and social media marketing, video marketing, anything that generates more call volume, more signups for your firm. So, a few notes before we get started. Take notes. Replays are going to be limited to our paying members. It's just one of the benefits of joining Abogados Now. So take notes. If you're not a member, it's a lot of material. There is a live Q&A. So if you see that Q&A button there at the bottom, you can ask a live question and we'll field it in real time. We'll find a time during these conversations for a natural spot to answer these questions. And lastly, if you want to talk to me, you can email me direct, hugo@abogadosnow.com. I get tons of questions from attorneys. Sometimes they want us to vet out their other agencies. They want us to join them on interviews with consultants that they're looking to hire. Maybe they're interested in our services. Or sometimes you just want to talk shop, or maybe you want to play golf at the Trial Summit in Miami. You name it. Happy to field your questions. I love meeting attorneys, legal marketing professionals. Please email me direct. Just say hi. Happy to meet everyone there. Another item here is our Hispanic Marketing Summit white paper. It's called Hispanic Marketing Success, a data-driven report for law firm growth. If you want your copy, it's complimentary by attending today. You just need to email jc@abogadosnow.com. JC will send you a direct link to download your complimentary PDF of Hispanic Marketing Success, a data-driven report for law firm growth. We worked for years on this. We interviewed so many professionals, marketers, attorneys. This gets into the weeds about the demographic changes of the United States. This gets into the weeds of how Hispanic consumers consume media. What devices are they using? How do they respond to certain language, images, videos? It's all here. We're really proud of it. This might be the biggest achievement we've made as a company. It was a collective effort, and we all just really cared about distilling everything that we think about every day into this like 30, 40-page document. And if there's enough demand, I think we'd be happy to create a print version. So please email jc@abogadosnow.com for your copy. It's an awesome document. We're really, really proud of it. Now, the agenda. Here's today's agenda. We're going to start off with the state of Hispanic legal marketing. We're going to talk about changes in demographics, user behaviors, the opportunities that legal professionals should be paying attention to with regards to the Hispanic market. Then we're going to be talking to Associate Attorney Jennifer Cabrera of the Troutman and Meehan Law Firm. They're known for complex TCPA litigation. We're going to be talking about what the FCC was about to enable, which is called one-to-one marketing consent, which affects every business in the United States conducting business online. There was a stay issued, and then it was just kind of overall eliminated post-inauguration. This has a massive impact on the marketing world. This is especially important if you buy leads, which many attorneys do, aside from marketing themselves. Then we're going to be talking about Google Ads changes in 2025. That's with our head of ads, Ali, and our senior account manager, Andrea. Google is, just 2017, I believe they acquired DeepMind, which was at the time a massive AI acquisition. They're really leveraging it in all of their Google Ads products now. It's central to their advertising product line. We'll be talking a lot about that today. And lastly, with our AI manager, George, we'll be talking about the top 5 AI-powered social media tools. I love this segment. We talked a lot about the opportunities in AI-powered tools for social media. So many of them are so affordable for even solos that are just starting. So you're absolutely going to want to see all these segments, whether you're a novice or whether you have a really sophisticated marketing stack. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the TikTok ban, the chilling effect it had, and it has right now on the marketing world, and why diversifying your ads is critical. That's with our head of ads, Ali. Then it's an interview with our founder CEO of Veda Virtual. They do intake, third-party answering services only for attorneys. Andy's segment is called Intake Optimization Tools for Better Conversions and Happier Clients. I don't know anyone that knows intake better than Andy. He's kind of a genius at this stuff, so you're absolutely going to want to see this one. Then our senior project manager, Shinari, she's going to be leading a segment called Leverage Your Website, AI Changes to Implement Today. It used to be that building a website took several weeks or months. And now with all these AI tools, similar to kind of like this GPT mindset, a lot of this is prompt enabled website design and development. And that's what Shinari is going to be talking about tomorrow. And lastly, we'll have final thoughts and a bonus live Q&A. So the program will officially conclude, but we're going to have a bonus Q&A. So if you stick around, we'll answer your questions in real time. I think we may be able to enable some video and audio screen sharing. But ultimately, we'll have a live Q&A. So lots to cover. It's about 2 to 3 hours per day. And again, replays are available to our members. So take a lot of notes if you're not yet an Abogados Now member. So let's start the program. We're going to start with the state of Hispanic legal marketing. Last year, when I covered the state of Hispanic legal marketing, it was largely about the census data. Now, I from my conversations with legal marketing professionals, it's kind of part of everyone's DNA now. Everyone knows about the massive demographic changes with the census. So today I want to start off with how the world is shifting. The world is shifting in ways very few predicted. And the Hispanic market is absolutely at the center of some of these surprises. For years, political conventionalism said that Hispanic voters lean Democratic, especially after Trump's rhetoric in 2016. The expectation was that in 2024, Democrats would hold or even grow their Latino voter base. It was actually the opposite. Trump made historic gains, winning nearly half of Hispanic voters, 46% to be precise, which was a 14-point surge from the 2020 election. It's defied all political conventions. That wasn't supposed to happen. In fact, I think this graph is more telling. The Hispanic males, Latino males, had a nearly 20-point shift towards Trump in just 4 years. This defies a lot of assumptions about Hispanic voters, that Hispanic voters prioritize immigration policies over immigration concerns, etc. But this was just one of the many signs that the old rules simply no longer apply. And it furthers the case that the Hispanic market is not a monolith. It's very segmented, it's very bifurcated, and it's very sensitive to regions in the United States, pockets of the United States, and their immigration makeup. Then came TikTok, a multi-billion-dollar global platform, marketing powerhouse. Probably 20% of our members market on TikTok because they understand that the Hispanic market is very much active on TikTok. A lot of marketers assumed it was untouchable. And then, just a few days ago, shut down. That sent a pretty chilling message that any platform, no matter how big, TikTok, just one of them, can vanish in an instant. So if your entire marketing strategy depends on one channel, Google, TikTok, Instagram, what happens when it's suddenly gone? If you're not diversified, that could put your entire business at risk. Fortunately, it came back, but it was an existential crisis for thousands of marketers in that 12, 18-hour period. Let's talk about Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, creator of ChatGPT. They've raised almost $18 billion. That's with a B, $18 billion in funding for OpenAI, a large percentage of which was dedicated to the development of ChatGPT. It costs billions of dollars to create ChatGPT. Everyone uses ChatGPT. It's like the Google of AI, right? Everyone uses ChatGPT. A few weeks ago, Sam Altman said, look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. This was in response to a question of startups with less than $10 million competing with OpenAI. The hubris was real with Sam. He said, you don't have a shot. There's no way anyone with 7 figures in funding can even come close to us. Then a few days ago, a Chinese competitor called DeepSeek came out, became the #1 most downloaded app in the App Store. And it beat ChatGPT in multiple benchmarks, especially in reasoning and accuracy. The takeaway here, that even the biggest players can be seeded overnight. I think the even bigger takeaway there is that it didn't take DeepSeek tens of billions of dollars to do this. It allegedly took them $6 million, if not less. So $6 million of development totally put trillions of dollars in volatility overnight. It affected the chip market. It affected semiconductor markets. It affected, obviously, the AI markets, tech markets that are really positioning themselves as AI forward. So it seems like a secure strategy today could be irrelevant tomorrow. Lastly, let's talk about the FCC. If you're not too familiar with what the FCC was going to do, January 27th was supposed to be the day that the one-to-one consent marketing rules were supposed to go into effect. This would have had massive implications on the marketing world. Businesses spent months, millions of dollars preparing for tighter restrictions in light of the one-to-one consent rules that were coming around the corner. I know almost every call I had with attorneys about lead buyers and lead sellers kind of revolved around this rule that was going to go into effect this month. Then suddenly, it was gone, post-inauguration. We're going to talk about the specifics of that momentarily with Jennifer Cabrera, the Trauma and Amine firm, in our next interview. That's the segment right after this. But if you built a strategy, a legal strategy, a compliance strategy, a different marketing strategy around these rules that were going to come up in the next 6 to 12 months, what happens now? Mind you, all this happened in the last week. Like, let that sink in. Like, this isn't the last 6 months. This is literally the last 7-10 days. So these aren't just headlines. The TikTok ban, Sam Altman getting stirred up, the market just responding and tanking to DeepSeek, Hispanic voting trends. These aren't just headlines, they're a pattern. And the pattern that I'm seeing tells us one thing, that the only certainty in marketing right now is uncertainty. The platforms, the tools, the strategies that we relied on today, 6 months ago, a year ago, they could be obsolete tomorrow. The market that you thought was yours could suddenly vanish. The app that generates 35% of your business could go away tomorrow. And you don't have a say in that. This isn't speculation. It's happening right now. And yet some law firms that we talk to, especially the bearish ones, they're waiting for things to, quote unquote, settle. But winning in the Hispanic market, the firms that are doing that, the firms that are winning in the Hispanic, they're not waiting. They're moving first. They're moving quickly as well. They understand that the uncertainty that has now sort of become a theme in marketing, they've kind of embraced it. They've lived in it. They don't see that as a barrier. They see the uncertainty as the opportunity. So the biggest shift of all that I've seen demographically is that the Hispanic market itself, since let's call it post-pandemic, has been responsible for 90% of the US population growth. Let that sink in. Almost all new growth post-pandemic is driven by Hispanics. By 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be Hispanic. By 2050, 1 in 4. This isn't a niche market. This is no longer an option. This is not just a growth market. This is a necessity. This is your survival in the next 5, 10, 25 years. Here's where it gets really interesting. While the Hispanic market is quickly booming, the legal industry is a little slow to catch up. Hispanic attorneys only make up 5% of all lawyers in the US. That's barely up from 4% more than a decade ago. So that's a disconnect. It's not about representation, it's about missed opportunities. Hispanic clients are actively looking for attorneys, but they aren't finding firms who simply don't know how to speak to them directly as a result of the fact that they're probably not Hispanic, and that's okay. So let's look at Hispanic clients find attorneys. Pew Research Center said this is a very mobile market. Nielsen says this is a market that loves watching streaming video a lot. And countless media studies have said the Hispanic markets don't just love social media, they actually trust it a lot. The firms that invest in really culturally relevant marketing, they're the ones winning. They're the ones on mobile devices, producing the videos, distributing them on social media. So let's take a look at some organizations, namely public ones that are doing a great job talking to the Hispanic market. Let's take a look at Hyundai. They had an amazing campaign called Under a Different Light, fully bilingual digital and traditional marketing campaign. All the actors spoke English and Spanish. They created different ad units for television, radio, short form Instagram, short form TikTok. It spoke to the non-monolithic Hispanic market about their vehicles. Netflix isn't just creating television shows and translating them in Spanish. They do that quite a bit. In fact, there's a whole department in Netflix that just translates in multiple languages. But they're doubling down on customer loyalty. They know that Hispanic markets love watching streaming video. So they said, we're just going to create content specifically for the Hispanic market. The one that speaks to me that kind of blew my mind was this one called La Casa de las Flores. They built a whole town just to film this series. They built a town because they know that this is what the market wants. They don't want dubbed content. They don't want to read subtitles oftentimes. This is a market that wants their own content. So Netflix, Hyundai, these are they're not just like reaching Hispanic consumers. They're building loyalty with them. That's priceless. And attorneys are following suit. Let's just take a look at the behemoth, Morgan & Morgan. They own Abogados.com. What an amazing domain. I can only imagine they spent a fortune on Abogados.com. But it matters. They know that this is the next segment of the market that they need to speak directly to. It's a dedicated effort to speak directly to the Spanish-speaking market. Whenever I'm in Houston or Florida, I'm here in Los Angeles, I'm so impressed by Morgan & Morgan's multi-channel approach. They have billboards in Spanish, they have billboards in English, they have inside jokes for Hispanics, they have inside jokes for the general market in Los Angeles. They get it. Let's take a look at Leah Wise. She's a PI attorney in Houston. I think she's going to be the face of PI in the next decade. I think she knows it too. She's built a fully bilingual Instagram, very active approach to talk in English and Spanish to the Texas market about, yes, personal injury, but also her life, her fashion decisions, the remodeling of her office. She's presenting her team. She participates in trends. She's not dancing, for the camera, but she's making light of working in an office sometimes. Something that we can all relate to. It's really impressive to do that with virtually no marketing budget and to build a massive following online for bilingual markets. Those who speak Spanish only, those who speak English only, those who speak both. At Jacoby Meyers, we're actually their agency of record. We built them, ganatucaso.com, winyourcase.com. It's a dedicated Spanish-speaking effort that started in California, but now we're in multiple states with Jacoby Meyers. And it's because they understand that they might have a great, successful English marketing strategy. They need a different set of thinkers and doers and creatives to tap into the Hispanic market separately, because it is a separate approach. So Morgan & Morgan, Leah Wise, Jacoby Meyers, they get it. They want to connect authentically with Spanish-speaking clients. They want to do the hard work. So what does this mean for attorneys that have yet to tap into this? Well, the first thing I want you guys to not do is just put copy that says, "Hola, I am your abogado," on your website. Very common thing. We see this all the time. You can't just translate your way into the Spanish-speaking market. We had to take lessons from Morgan and Leah and Netflix and Hyundai and Spotify and Wells Fargo and everyone doing the tough work, making culturally relevant, AI-powered, personalized, regionally specific content on all these channels, namely for mobile devices, because like I mentioned earlier, this is where the Hispanic market is. So with that diversification, you protect yourself from that downside in media that may or may not disappear overnight with the next algorithm shift. This is a strategy that's going to connect you to not just Mexicans, but Puerto Ricans, El Salvadorians, Ecuadorians, Cuban Americans, in both very Hispanic dense states and non-Hispanic dense states, regardless of their documentation status. It's a totally separate line of work, and it's not for everyone, admittedly. But for growth, it's not an option, it's a necessity. So let's say you ignore this. What happens if you do nothing for the next 2 to 3 years? I guarantee you the best opportunities, gone. Right now, the firms have an open playing field in Hispanic marketing. That's why the barrier to entry is low and ironically high. It's low because if you want to do all the hard work that many of the firms don't want to do, you're in. The high bar is in maintaining it. But if you wait too long, you'll be competing against well-established firms instead of leading a new market, sort of like Leah Wise. So doing nothing is probably the biggest risk. Waiting for things to settle or hoping for some kind of certainty to present itself, that's the hugest risk. Now, let's talk about costs. Pragmatically, the cost per lead for Hispanic marketing is lower than English-speaking markets because it's less competitive. We've seen by our own estimates that even in high competition metro markets like Miami, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Francisco, the Bay Area, LA, Chicago, we've seen up to 20% lower ad costs. That's cost per click, etc. That has a huge impact on your P&L. A 20% gain at the top affects your bottom line. That affects all the economic units, the unit economics rather. Your cost per lead, your cost per call, your cost per acquisition. It can be a margin. It can be a margin magnifier or a margin buster if you do it the wrong way. So the firms that invest now will lock in lower costs. They'll get a good reputation with the media companies, while the firms that will wait will pay premiums when it starts working for all of those early adopters. So the question I have for everyone here is, are you going to wait for certainty that will never come? Or are you going to move now? Because while your competitors are still figuring it out, doing nothing is the biggest risk. One thing is super clear. The firms that act today will own the Hispanic market tomorrow. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Our next segment is an interview with Jennifer Cabrera of the Troutman and Me firm. We're going to be talking about the massive changes with the FCC that happened quite quickly overnight, what this means for your business, how to protect your business from marketing misconduct, and potentially answer any of your questions. This is an amazing opportunity to talk to one of the biggest experts on TCPA. It's a very rare opportunity. So thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon.